Hello again. Welcome back to your 5-minute devotional stop with me, Amy Phillips. I'm on a journey moving from fear to faith, and I hope you'll join me for Just Believe. Okay, so I had this picture yesterday of what suffering looks like while I was in prayer over some really hard circumstances that have been in my life right now. And I had a picture of a person jumping or being pushed out of a plane and looking below them and only seeing fog, looking and looking for the ground. Suffering is either jumping out of a plane on purpose or maybe you got pushed out. Sometimes we bring on circumstances and sometimes it's other people's choices, sicknesses, etc. that push us out of the plane into suffering. And we find ourselves falling and falling fast. I used to say that suffering was like free falling, and you're just trying to grab at anything that might help to stop your fall. But there are stages in suffering. First, there's that free falling, and then there comes a time when suffering becomes your normal, if it lasts a long time. That's when that parachute opens in our fall. But when we're in the midst of suffering, we're always looking for the ground. When will this end? Where's the ground? When can things be comfortable and be at peace? And the picture I had was that of a person in the air with a parachute and pumping those legs as fast as they could, as if that's going to get you to the ground faster. Because we're still falling, right? But thankfully, we usually get to that parachute phase in suffering. We finally have something to hold on to. We've got some scripture. We've got some friends around us. We're not tumbling head over heels anymore. We're on a steady course through the air. But again, we're still falling, and we still can't see the ground. But here's the thing, friends. Jesus doesn't want us to just survive times of suffering. We don't want to just make it through until we get to the other side. And sometimes there isn't, honestly, another side to get to. He wants us to find Him, to abide in Him in the midst of the fall. The ground, or whatever normal looks like to you, can't be what we're aiming for, or we'll perpetually live in hopelessness and fear. I was thinking of a conversation I had with a friend recently. She told me of a time that her husband had betrayed her, and she was left standing there in her home alone with nothing to hold on to. Now that's an acute sense of suffering. Some of you have had long times of suffering with sicknesses or in relationships. But she said in that moment, she just remained in God. She stepped into that abiding place that God tells us of. In that place of suffering, she just decided to remain in Him no matter what the circumstances looked like. Now, it doesn't always happen this way, but in her abiding, God brought about repentance in her marriage. Right? Sounds so easy. Not. But there is a place of practicing that abiding, losing ourselves so that we can be filled with Him, allowing that wind to flow over our faces as we descend through suffering. So back to my picture, I thought, Lord, if we're not looking for the ground or for normal, what do we look for? Where are you? And I thought, it's the air. It's the air that's always there, the wind in our face, on the ground or in the skies. He's all around us. He's got us no matter where we are. It doesn't feel like free falling anymore, but there's a stability even in my fall. The wind is guiding me, taking my parachute to an expected end, so we can rest back, accept the breeze, get into the wind that's swirling around us, and ride on with my Father as I abide with Him. So what's the place of faith in suffering? Faith is that God is guiding me. Faith is that God is near right now in the midst of my suffering. There's nothing outside of His purview. I am in good hands. He's the wind that takes me where I need to go. I'm not free falling or without hope. I'm being directed by a sovereign and loving Father. I will not fear. I will not lose heart. I will wait patiently for Him to bring me to a wide open place, so I can stop pumping those legs, looking around anxiously, and just rest. Let the wind hit your face and abide until He brings you to the ground where He will still sweetly and gently cover and surround you. So these were the two verses I had for this week. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God, from Colossians 3. We are hidden in Him, not out on our own, not falling without hope. You are not alone, for you died, and your whole life is now hidden in Him, found in Him. We are never lost, even if we feel like we're falling through circumstances or suffering. And the next one is that remain in me, and I will remain in you, that John 15 verse. This week I've had to ask myself, what does it mean for me to abide, to remain in Him in the midst of suffering? I felt anxiety climbing up my defenses. I felt like He wants to steal my peace. I felt the enemy roaming around our house, wanting to drag us into fear and anxiety, dragging us from that place of abiding in His faithful love. So what have I done, and what am I praying for you? I've just turned my face into the wind. And I said, this current, this tornado that's around me, this is God guiding me. He's the wind. He's all around me, and He'll take me where He wants me to be. And I pray that for you as well. The ground may still not be near in your circumstances, but God is. Breathe in deeply. Adjust your parachute to catch more of His wind. You've got this. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you feel encouraged and strengthened. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at amybphillips.com. See you next time.